Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why is everything changing at once? The people you trusted begin disappearing. Doors you desperately wanted suddenly close. The things that once made you happy no longer satisfy you. And somehow, through all of it, you feel something changing inside you, something you cannot explain. But what if these are not signs that Allah has abandoned you? What if they are signs that Allah is pulling you towards something deeper? Ibn Arabi taught that the journey toward Allah does not always look like gaining more. Sometimes it looks like losing what you thought you could never live without. Sometimes Allah removes the distraction before revealing the direction. He weakens the attachment before strengthening the heart. He closes the door you keep fighting to open because He knows what is waiting behind another one. And here is the part that may surprise you. You may already be experiencing these signs without realizing what they mean. That strange loneliness, that loss of interest in things you once chased, those unexpected trials, that growing desire to be alone with Allah, that feeling that your old life no longer fits the person you are becoming. So before you call this season a punishment, listen carefully, because these 7 signs may reveal that Allah is not pushing you away. He may be preparing you, changing you, and drawing you closer than ever before. Allah begins removing what was distracting you. One of the first signs of deep spiritual change is that the things that once controlled your attention suddenly begin losing their power. The same attention, money, praise, entertainment, or approval that once made you feel important may no longer satisfy you. You can still enjoy the world, but you no longer want the world to become your entire purpose. This can feel strange because nothing may have changed around you, yet something inside you has. You begin realizing that what you were chasing could never give the peace you were looking for. In the language of spiritual transformation, this emptiness can become an invitation. Allah may be teaching your heart to stop depending on temporary things for permanent peace. What feels like losing interest in the world may actually be the beginning of discovering what truly matters. People begin leaving your life without you understanding why sometimes the people you thought would stay forever suddenly become distant, and you are left wondering what happened. But not every separation is punishment, and not every ending means you failed. Sometimes your inner direction changes before your outer life catches up. The conversations that once excited you may begin exhausting you, and the environments you once felt comfortable in may no longer feel like home. This can be painful, but it can also create a space where you learn something important. People can accompany you on part of your journey, but they cannot become your ultimate source of peace. Instead of asking only, why did they leave? Ask, what is this separation teaching me? Perhaps Allah is teaching you detachment, patience, or dependence upon Him. Sometimes the silence left by people becomes the very space where you finally hear your own heart again. Your trials begin revealing what is really inside you. Hardship has a way of exposing what comfort keeps hidden. When everything is going according to your plans, it is easy to believe you are patient, trusting, and spiritually strong. But when something you deeply wanted is taken away, when a door refuses to open, when someone you trusted walks away, or when your future suddenly becomes uncertain, the hidden parts of the soul begin rising to the surface. You may discover fears you never knew you carried, attachments you thought you had overcome, impatience you tried to hide, or a powerful need to control every detail of your life. And this is where the trial becomes more than pain. It becomes a mirror showing you what is happening inside your heart. Instead of asking only, why is Allah allowing this to happen to me? Begin asking a deeper question. What is this situation revealing about me? Perhaps the difficulty is exposing an attachment that was quietly becoming more important to you than Allah. Perhaps the delay is teaching you patience, or the uncertainty is forcing you to trust without knowing what comes next. Sometimes the very thing you desperately want Allah to remove may be the thing He is using to transform you. The pain may be uncomfortable, but it can reveal where your heart is still dependent on people, outcomes, recognition, or control. And when you finally see those attachments clearly, you are given an opportunity to release them. This is why some of the hardest seasons of your life may later become the seasons you understand most deeply. You may look back and realize that What felt like rejection taught you dependence? What felt like delay taught you patience? And what felt like loss taught you what truly mattered? The trial may feel like it is breaking your life when, beneath the surface, Allah may be breaking the habits, attachments, and illusions that were keeping your heart from growing. The trial may not have come to destroy you. It may have come to reveal what needs to be surrendered, purified, and transformed. 4. Your ego starts losing the control it once had. There was once a version of you that needed to be noticed, praised, understood, and validated. You wanted people to recognize your efforts, respect your opinions, acknowledge your pain, and understand your side of every story. When someone misunderstood you, you felt the need to explain yourself. When someone criticized you, you immediately wanted to defend yourself. When someone received what you wanted, comparison quietly entered your heart. But something begins to change when Allah starts transforming a person from within. Slowly, the need to prove yourself begins losing its power. You may still care about how others see you, but their opinions no longer control your peace the way they once did. You begin learning that not every argument deserves your energy. Not every accusation deserves an explanation, and not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Sometimes you become comfortable allowing people to think what they want about you, because you realize that Allah knows the truth about your heart. You can walk away from an argument without feeling that you have lost. You can remain silent without feeling weak. You can do something good without needing anyone to know that you did it. And perhaps most importantly, you begin becoming more concerned with who you are before Allah when nobody is watching than with who you appear to be before people. This is where the ego begins losing its control. Ibn Arabi's spiritual perspective places deep importance on understanding the self, because the ego constantly tries to make the journey about me, my importance, my recognition, my desires, my status, my story. But the closer the heart moves toward Allah, the more clearly a person begins to see that everything they possess is ultimately a gift. Your intelligence was given. Your opportunities were given. Your abilities were given. Even the moments in which you feel spiritually awake are gifts that you did not create by yourself. When this realization becomes deeper, pride begins to lose the ground beneath it. And something beautiful happens. You do not become less confident. You simply become less desperate to prove your worth. You no longer need to be the loudest person in the room. You no longer need everyone to agree with you. You no longer need applause for every good thing you do. You begin choosing sincerity over appearance and obedience over recognition. True spiritual growth is not becoming obsessed with being seen as special. It is becoming comfortable being unknown, while Allah knows you completely. And when your ego stops demanding the world's attention, your heart finally has more space to seek the attention of Allah. You begin seeing meaning where you once saw only randomness. There comes a point in your spiritual journey when the way you look at your life begins to change. The events may not change, your problems may not disappear, and the future may still remain uncertain, but something inside your perception becomes different. A door closes, and instead of immediately believing that everything is falling apart, you begin wondering what Allah may be protecting you from. A delay still frustrates you, but somewhere inside, you begin asking whether Allah is preparing you for something you cannot yet see. A painful ending still hurts, but instead of seeing only the loss, you begin noticing what the experience revealed about your heart, your attachments, and the things you were depending on too heavily. This does not mean you have to pretend that every painful experience feels good or that every tragedy has an obvious explanation. There will be moments when you genuinely do not understand why something happened, and that uncertainty is part of being human. The deeper change is that you stop believing your limited understanding is the complete picture. You begin accepting that you can see only one moment of a story, while Allah knows the beginning, the ending, and everything hidden between them. What looks like rejection today may eventually become protection. What feels like a delay may be preparing you for the right moment. What seems like a loss may expose an attachment that was quietly controlling your heart. This is where Ibn Arabi's way of looking at existence becomes especially powerful. The seeker learns to look beyond the surface of events and become attentive to the signs, lessons, and meanings hidden within them. Instead of seeing life as a series of disconnected accidents, you begin approaching each experience with greater awareness. A difficult person may teach you patience. A disappointment may teach you detachment. A period of loneliness may teach you how much you were depending on creation instead of the Creator. Even a blessing can become a lesson when you realize that everything you receive is temporary and ultimately belongs to Allah. And slowly the questions you ask begin changing. Instead of constantly asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is Allah showing me through this?" That question does not magically remove pain, but it gives pain a different place in your journey. You stop demanding immediate answers and start developing the patience to let meaning reveal itself over time. Sometimes you will understand the lesson quickly, and sometimes you may only understand it years later when you look back and realize that the moment you once hated was connected to a transformation you desperately needed. The most beautiful part is that you begin seeing your entire life differently. The morning is no longer just another morning, it becomes another opportunity to return to Allah. A closed door is no longer automatically a disaster. A difficult season is no longer proof that Allah has abandoned you. A blessing is no longer simply something to enjoy, but something to be grateful for and responsible with. When the heart becomes awake, ordinary events can become reminders, and even the moments you once considered meaningless can begin pointing you back toward Allah. You start craving Allah more than you crave the world. There comes a point in the spiritual journey when something inside you begins to hunger for what the world cannot provide. You may still have dreams, ambitions, responsibilities, relationships, and things you genuinely enjoy, but they no longer feel capable of giving you the deep peace you once expected from them. You can achieve something you spent years chasing and still feel strangely empty afterward. You can receive praise and still wonder why your heart is not satisfied. You can be surrounded by people who care about you and still experience a quiet longing that you cannot fully explain. At first, this feeling can be confusing. You may think something is wrong with you because the things that once made you excited no longer have the same effect. But sometimes this dissatisfaction is not a sign that your heart is broken. It is a sign that your heart is searching for something deeper. The world is capable of giving you pleasure, comfort, excitement, and temporary satisfaction, but it cannot give the heart permanent rest. Every worldly experience eventually changes. The excitement fades, the attention disappears, the achievement becomes normal, and the thing you once thought would finally make you happy becomes just another part of your life. Then the heart begins looking for the next thing. More success, more money, more attention, more recognition, more experiences. And the cycle continues because the heart is asking a question that worldly things were never designed to answer. What will finally make me whole? This is where spiritual transformation can begin. Instead of immediately running toward another distraction, you begin sitting with that emptiness. You start becoming curious about what your heart is actually asking for. You may begin craving moments of silence instead of constant entertainment. You may find yourself wanting to spend more time in prayer, remembrance, reflection, or simply being alone with your thoughts. Things that once seemed boring suddenly become meaningful. A quiet room can feel more valuable than a crowded place. A sincere dua can feel more powerful than 100 conversations. And sometimes you begin noticing that after all the noise disappears, there is one longing that remains. You want to feel close to Allah. This is one of the most important shifts because your relationship with worship begins changing. In the beginning, perhaps you turned toward Allah mostly when you needed something. You made dua when you were desperate, prayed when you wanted an answer, and remembered Allah when life became difficult. But as the heart becomes more awake, something deeper can develop. You begin wanting Allah even when there is no immediate problem to solve. You begin remembering Him not only because you need something, but because your heart feels incomplete when it is distant from Him. Worship becomes less about getting something from Allah and more about returning to Allah. Ibn Arabi's spiritual thought repeatedly points toward the profound relationship between the human heart and the divine. The seeker gradually discovers that the deepest longing cannot be satisfied through endless attachment to created things. The heart can admire the world without worshiping it. It can enjoy blessings without becoming dependent upon them. It can love people without expecting them to fill a space that belongs only to Allah. This is an important distinction because spiritual growth does not mean becoming someone who hates the world or rejects every worldly blessing. It means learning how to hold the world in your hands without allowing it to occupy the throne of your heart. You may notice this transformation in very subtle ways. A sin you once treated casually begins disturbing your conscience. A conversation filled with gossip no longer feels entertaining. Chasing approval begins to feel exhausting. You become more protective of your inner peace. You start noticing how quickly certain activities pull your heart away from remembrance, and you begin choosing differently. You may even experience moments when you're surrounded by everything you once wanted, yet your heart quietly whispers, there must be something more. And perhaps there is. Maybe the more you are searching for is not another achievement, another relationship, another possession, or another escape. Maybe your heart is simply tired of traveling everywhere except toward its true destination. This is why the loss of interest in certain worldly distractions should not automatically frighten you. Sometimes Allah allows the heart to become dissatisfied with temporary things so that it can begin recognizing what is eternal. The things you once thought you could not live without may slowly become less important, while prayer, remembrance, sincerity, and closeness to Allah begin becoming more precious. But there is another side to this lesson that is easy to miss. When you begin craving Allah more than the world, you may also become more comfortable with not getting everything you want. You still ask, you still hope, you still make dua. But you begin realizing that receiving everything you request is not the same thing as being loved by Allah. Sometimes Allah's greatest gift is not giving you what you asked for, but changing your heart so deeply that you no longer need that thing to be happy. You begin saying, Ya Allah, I wanted this, but I want your pleasure more. You begin accepting that some doors may remain closed and some answers may take longer than you expected. Your peace becomes less dependent upon circumstances because your heart is becoming attached to the one who controls those circumstances. And this is where a profound transformation takes place. You stop measuring Allah's nearness by how comfortable your life feels. You stop thinking that an easy life automatically means Allah is pleased with you, or that a difficult life means He has forgotten you. Instead, you begin measuring your journey by what is happening inside your heart. Are you becoming more grateful, more patient, more humble, more forgiving, more sincere, more willing to return to Allah after you fall? Because perhaps the clearest sign is not that you have everything you want. Perhaps it is that you have discovered something you want more than everything else. You want Allah. And once the heart begins truly craving Him, the world does not necessarily disappear from your life. Rather, it falls into its proper place. You can enjoy its blessings without becoming enslaved by them. You can love people without worshiping their approval. You can pursue success without making success your identity. You can lose something without believing that you have lost everything. Because somewhere deep inside, you have discovered the one thing that cannot be taken away by the changing circumstances of this world, the desire to return to Allah. And when that desire becomes stronger than your desire to be seen, praised, entertained, or satisfied by the world, you may finally understand why some of the things you once loved had to lose their power over you. Your heart was not becoming empty. It was making room for something greater. You stop asking to control the destination and learn to trust Allah. Perhaps the deepest sign of spiritual transformation is not that you finally get everything you prayed for, but that your heart slowly learns to trust Allah even when you do not. There was probably a time when you wanted to know exactly how everything would happen. You wanted the right person, the right opportunity, the right outcome, and the right timing. You prayed with a specific picture in your mind and believed that peace would come only when life followed that picture. But eventually, something begins changing. You still make dua, you still have dreams, and you still work toward what you want, yet you become less desperate to control the final result. You begin realizing that Allah can see what you cannot, This kind of surrender is difficult because the ego wants certainty. It wants to know why a door closed, when another door will open, why someone left, when the difficulty will end, and what the future will look like. But faith asks you to keep walking even when you cannot see the entire road. You do what is within your ability, you make your effort, you ask Allah for what is good, and then you release what you cannot control. You begin saying, Ya Allah, I may not understand this, but I trust that you understand what I cannot see. And this changes the way you experience disappointment. A closed door may still hurt, but it no longer destroys your hope. A delayed answer may still frustrate you, but you stop assuming that Allah has ignored you. You begin understanding that an unanswered dua is not necessarily a rejected dua. Sometimes the answer is delayed because the timing is different from what you imagined. Sometimes the answer comes in a form you never expected. And sometimes Allah changes the person making the dua before changing the situation they were praying about. This is where the idea of being a chosen one must be understood carefully. Being chosen is not a title that makes you superior to other people. It is not permission to believe that every difficulty proves you are spiritually special. Real spiritual growth should produce humility, not arrogance. If Allah brings you closer to Him, you should become more grateful, more merciful, more patient, and more aware of your own weaknesses. The closer you come to Allah, the less reason you have to look down upon anyone else. Eventually, you stop becoming obsessed with the question, am I chosen? And start asking something much more important, am I sincere? You stop looking for signs that make you feel special and start looking for ways to become better. You stop asking why Allah did not give you the life you wanted and begin asking how you can remain faithful with the life He actually gave you. You stop demanding that every door open and begin trusting that Allah knows which doors are worth entering. This does not mean becoming passive or abandoning your responsibilities. Surrender is not laziness. You still work, you still plan, you still make decisions, you still pursue what is good. But your heart no longer depends entirely on the outcome. You can work hard without worshiping success. You can love someone without believing that person controls your happiness. You can pursue a dream without believing your worth depends on achieving it. You can lose something precious and still know that your entire existence has not been lost. That is the freedom surrender creates. You begin understanding that perhaps the real miracle was never getting everything you wanted. Perhaps the real miracle was becoming someone who could trust Allah even when you did not get it. The person you were before needed answers before having peace. The person you are becoming can have peace while some questions remain unanswered. You begin accepting that Allah does not owe you an explanation for every chapter of your life before you can trust the one who wrote it. And this is where the heart becomes lighter. You stop fighting reality every time it refuses to match your expectations. You stop replaying the past, trying to change what cannot be changed. You stop living in constant fear of the future because you realize that the future belongs to the same Allah who carried you through everything behind you. Your role is not to control the unseen. Your role is to walk faithfully through what has been placed in front of you. Perhaps that is one of the clearest signs that your relationship with Allah is deepening. You begin trusting Him more than you trust your own plan. You still ask Him to open doors, but you no longer panic when He closes one. You still pray for what you desire, but you become willing to accept something different if it is better for you. You still hope for beautiful things, but your happiness is no longer held hostage by whether they arrive. And one day, you may look back at the chapters you once questioned and realize that some of the things you begged Allah to change were actually the things that changed you. The delay taught you patience. The rejection taught you dependence. The loss taught you detachment. The uncertainty taught you trust. The closed door taught you that not every opportunity is meant for you. So perhaps the final sign is not that Allah gives you complete control over your journey. Perhaps it is that you finally stop needing control to have peace. You walk forward with effort in your hands, dua on your lips, and trust in your heart. You do not know exactly where the road will lead, but you know who knows the destination, and sometimes that is enough. Conclusion. Maybe you came into this video looking for proof that you are a chosen one, but perhaps the deeper question is not whether Allah has selected you. The deeper question is, what are you becoming because of what Allah is taking you through? If the trials have made you more humble, if the losses have made you depend on Him more, if the closed doors have taught you patience, and if your heart keeps returning to Allah even after you fall, then perhaps the greatest sign is already within you. Do not become attached to the label. Become attached to Allah. You do not need to convince the world that you are different. You do not need to prove that your suffering makes you special. Let your transformation speak through your character, your patience, your sincerity, your worship, and the way you treat people when nobody is watching. Perhaps the people who left were not the end of your story. Perhaps the closed doors were not rejection. Perhaps the lonely season was not abandonment. Perhaps Allah was quietly removing what your heart had become too dependent upon so that you could discover where your true dependence belongs. And if you are still struggling, still waiting, still confused, do not assume that Allah has forgotten you. Sometimes the deepest transformation happens in seasons when nothing seems to be happening at all. So keep praying, keep returning, keep trusting, keep walking. Because one day you may look back and realize that the season you desperately wanted to escape was the very season that brought you closer to Allah. Maybe Allah was never taking you away from your path. Maybe He was removing everything that was keeping you from it.